Billion Pod, to all the listeners, hear us say all the many words. Billion Pod, about so many pictures, which leads us to say. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the $1 Billion Movie Club. Each and every week we listen and watch films. We listen and watch films that make a lot of money, and we talk about the movies because sometimes it's an interesting choice. I think we can say.
Mhm.
Joining, I am Christian Masinson, and joining me as always is
Joining I am.
joining I am Sam, the Sean Penn Academy Award nominated film.
My name is Pawan Mehta.
So Puan Meta, Christian Masinson, we're going to talk about movies. And Puan, what picture are we discussing today?
The picture with which we also heard the sounds of that we're discussing today is Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty
the
and the Beast.
2017?
Yes, 2017. The 2017 remake of the 1991 classic.
Not to be confused with like the 2017 or 2018 French remake of the like black and white version.
Oh, there's a recent one?
Yeah.
There's like 98 versions. But this version was released in the US on March 17th, 2017. With a budget, the budget's all over the place. I've seen like 125 million. I've seen 300 million. It's all over the place for this movie. However,
you know what? To our listeners, what does the number 1 million mean to you? Let us know in the email. Miss Simpson, what's that email?
BBillioncql at 45321club.com.
Cool. Go on.
So budget, who knows? It's a lot of money. I've seen up to 300 million. Who knows? It opened domestically to an opening of $174.8 million. It was the highest grossing March opening, highest opening for a PG rated film, and the sixth highest grossing opening at the time. It was number one for 2 weekends until it was dethroned by, you guessed it, The Boss Baby.
It's a shame we won't be talking about that classic film.
Both Academy Award nominated films. This is from Johanna Destad Variety on April 13th, 2017. Beauty and the Beast officially earned $1 billion at the box office. The film would go on to gross $504 million domestically and a worldwide total of $1.264 billion. At the time, it was the 8th highest grossing film domestically and 10th worldwide. Currently, it sits at 15th domestic and 17th worldwide. It is, at the time, the highest grossing movie musical ever.
Well, now I'm just sad.
Come on, why? What happens in this movie?
There's like they do a song that's like, here's the Village People, but it's like 7 hours longer than the original version.
The Village People?
Yes. It's like, oh, we're all dummies and she's smart and she's peculiar for that. Except in the original, it was like 3 minutes, and now it's like a whole day.
I actually think it's about the same length in both films, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
And then like she's like, and then her dad's like, I'm gonna go sell the stuff at the place. And then he takes a wrong detour and he ends up talking to a man who's a beast. And then the beast man is like, I'm gonna steal you and you can't leave. And then the daughter runs up on the place, is like, I'm replacing him. And then there's a magic thing where it's like, if you don't fall in love when the rose goes, then you beast man.
Wait, you beast man? Or you beast man?
You beast man.
You beast man, not you beast man.
No.
Okay, you're not a man.
No. I mean, maybe you know what? We actually didn't see what would happen if he ran out of time. Maybe he would have been a man,
Who knows? Who knows?
but
Go on.
that doesn't matter to the synopsis. So then the Beast Man is like, oh, I guess she's gonna stay here, and then all the other critters in the house are just like, yo, Belle, do this, this, and that, and then the Beast Man gets angry, and then the lady who came in does so much work, just so much work, and then somehow she falls in love with this man who's giving her nothing, and then they just yeah, that's the movie.
So, we had a conversation off camera with a friend and listener of the podcast, Brandon Ambrosi. Brandon,
Shout out to Brandon Ambrosi. Hit
I
us up
hope,
at that email. What's the email again, Miss Simpson?
Lillian JQ Club at 54sesamestreet.org. Brandon, I hope you're on a run listening to this and you're startled by the mention of your name. Brandon points out that somehow a lot of these episodes will have differing views on the film. On one hand and myself on another. And I'm sure that is this week as well.
Well, you know, sometimes you just got to go back to the formula that works, you know?
Have you ever watched the original, or do you have
Oh
any
yeah,
connection to the original?
I really like the original.
So
It's nice and
I
streamlined and just tells a very
Yeah.
succinct story.
So I didn't realize how connected I am to that original. Not the original, but the original Disney. I that was the first show I ever auditioned for as a kid, and then I truly think the original movie is
Yeah, I remember that clip I saw.
it's so magical you remember it. I
Were
do
you
think
LeFou?
I was Lefou. Lefou. I do think the original '91 Disney film is, as we point out, we forget every week that no movie could be perfect, and yet we remember whenever we do this podcast. And it's films like the 1991 Beauty and the Beast that make me forget that movies can't be perfect, because I think that is as close as perfection as you can get on cinema.
But you know what? Since you bring up cinema,
Whoa.
that there's a channel that has way too much influence over how
I don't
people
think it
decide to
does.
make. It definitely did for this one.
No, it
It
didn't.
definitely did.
No, it didn't.
Oh, come on. You
Here's
can't tell me that a lot of the additions weren't made to like appease the people that are like, what happened to this thing that's not brought up?
no. It's so all right. So anyways, I that original movie is pretty damn perfect. I found flaws in it in a recent rewatch that I did for this, but it's pretty damn close to perfect. I think this movie has the problem every other Disney live action adaptation has. And we've only talked about one already on the podcast, Alice in Wonderland. We'll talk about Aladdin in a couple weeks. We'll talk about The Lion King, etc. I think they have a problem of an identity crisis. Or do they want to stay faithful to the source material? Do they want to take a turn? Do they want to ground it in realism? And I think by making it live action, you invite more logic into the story. And so they do try to flesh out and ground the characters more in a way that I don't think is necessary.
I don't know. For this one, it really felt like all the additions were just made for people that are like, yo, what about that element of the movie or whatever that's never explained?
They want to explore the characters. The thing is, they're not the deepest characters in the first place. I'm not saying they're doing it right. I'm also saying I don't think it's to appease the fans.
Oh no, those aren't fans.
Appease the audience. I think it is them trying to explore things that don't need to be explored. It's the Jurassic Park thing of you were so focused on whether you can do it, you didn't ask yourself if you should. We don't need Belle's mom to have died in a plague.
You know what? I'm starting to. I just got an idea.
Okay.
They pictured their audience like this version of the Beast. The Beast is the self-insert, the
What does that
pedantic
mean?
fuck that he is, the childish man that he is.
He's that in the original one too.
There is a big difference. There is a
Is
big
there?
yes.
No. How is there a difference?
Okay, one great example. The dinner scene. There's so many times where, like, during that segment of the movie where they're falling in love with each other
Yes.
in the original, where the Beast actively makes an effort and then Belle notices that and, like, meets him halfway. This movie didn't have that.
He makes an effort as he goes to sit closer to her. He makes an effort to get closer to her.
That's nothing compared to, like, the original where he, like, the reason why she ended up eating that way was because he was having trouble with that. Was a much more heartfelt moment. You can't say that wasn't.
But you also have the moments of her taking care of him. You have the moments of them connecting on an intellectual level, which you don't get in the original.
Okay, so
I'm not saying
another
this.
thing,
I'm not saying this movie's perfect.
another thing where the original shows how Beast makes a lot more of an effort than he did in this one. He made the library for her in the original as an effort.
No, he didn't. He didn't make the library for her. It was there in the castle already. Lumiere and Cogsworth show it to her. They mention it to her and they show it to her. I can't remember if it, but they mention it to her before the Beast even mentions it.
Okay, other things. How there's no he doesn't establish any boundaries before she breaks them in this version. Like in the original,
Yes.
There was the moment where she enters the West Wing and he's angry because he's like, I told you not to come here.
Yes.
Whereas in this version, Lumiere and the Cog Man
Cogsworth. Yes.
told her.
Yes.
So
That is an
like
odd
he
choice.
has no reason to be upset, really.
I think the man's deep in his
I
morose
get that, but like
depression.
again, it feels like all the decisions in terms of like changing how their dynamics work just makes Beast so much less likable. Even to Belle.
Here's something that I noticed in my rewatch of the original, and then in this one as well. In the original, Cogsworth and Lumiere and them are like, "Oh, Beast, have you noticed she's a pretty girl?" And he's like, and then Beast's like, "Yeah, I noticed that she could break the spell," which makes it a little more creepier that he's trying to get close to her when he's aware that she could break the spell. In this one, he's less hesitant because he's already given up.
Okay, going back to what you said about they connect on an intellectual level.
You're just gonna skip over my point.
No, but like I want to address this as well. Yo, they don't. He just negs her. That's what happens there. And then just to like show off, he's like, "Yeah, check out my library." I guess.
What do you mean he just negs her? I'm not familiar with this term.
Negs is the term where it's like, "Oh, you read, but you read shit." It's like you provide it's like providing a negative statement in the form of a compliment.
Okay.
And just the way he and like, okay, maybe he didn't make the library for her in the original, but it was a lot more of a romantic gesture than it was in this one.
I argue it's less the writing and more the what you see on screen. When you look at the library in the live action, and this is a thing I have with this movie, this interpretation is as a whole, is it's darker and it's grimier and it's dirtier. And when you see it in the animated film, it's blue and it's bright and it's full of life when you look into the library. I'm
specifically talking about the impetus for why he does it.
What is the impetus in the animated version?
If I remember correctly, there literally was a moment where he's like, I want to do something nice for her. And then he shows her the library that he like made up or something. Like he did something with it.
Well, now you can ask, oh, does he want to get nice with her because he wants to get closer to her? Or does he want her to break the spell? Which is what he's focused on, which is his goal.
Okay, you know what? You saw the movie more recently. I get that. But there was also the element where it's like, you know what? It wasn't that he started in that moment. It's not that he started with, I want to do something nice for her. It's that he saw that she was like opening up to him and like being reciprocating niceties. So he's like, you know what? I should do something.
Here's the thing. I think both movies rush them getting together and falling in love with each other, right? It's very quick. It's a montage, and then there's a song. But
Sure, but like
I
it's
think the
made by
song
the
is what
little
does it.
moments that are in though that montage, which this one
Yes.
just tramples all over and ruins from the original.
Hmm. I'm stuck. I'd like to further this point, but I'll be honest. I don't remember too much of either montage. I think you get a couple more scenes of them talking out and getting to know each other.
And most of that is just like Belle being like, "Hey, I like this thing," and then Beast being like, "Ugh, how girly."
What? Just because of the Romeo and Juliet book?
Yeah, but like it feels like that's a good amount of their interactions, where it's just like her
Hold on.
being like, "This thing's cool," and then him
How
being
would
like,
how
"Ugh."
hold on? How would you react if someone told you that their favorite play was Romeo and Juliet? You would scoff at first, yes.
That's not the point. That really isn't the point. They could have written that in any way, but they decided to write in such a way to make the Beast look like an asshole. All right.
I I don't get that from the Beast in this one.
And like specifically how it's like, oh, that's a shit play. You could read some of these other great ones, I guess. Like the flippancy of that is what gets me with the way
I
the library is introduced in this movie.
I'm intrigued that you found him so assholey in this movie. That didn't come off to me.
Honestly, it for me, it really felt like he was stunt his like brain was stunted as a 7-year-old, and like he was stuck in that like I'm a man, and like men are supposed to be like this sort of mindset.
Isn't that the point of why he was turned into the Beast?
I, yeah, but the thing is, if he's like that by the end of the movie, why is he rewarded?
I don't know if he's like that by the end of the movie. I also have a problem with the premise and the events of the story. I don't know how much of it is the original source material or not, but it bothers me that the witch transforms him because he thought she was ugly and didn't care. And she's like, okay, you gotta learn beauty's deep within. And so he learns to love a beautiful woman.
So the other thing I don't really get about the whole aspect of, he he thought that this old lady was nothing because she's ugly. Why did she have to be beautiful, actually, though?
That's hmm. That is a great point. That's a great point.
Like, why did it have to be a mask where she's like, oh, I'm actually pretty, so you were wrong to be mean to me?
I think that's a remnant of it being an old fairy tale from what the 1800s or whatever. I understand the issues with that. It
I
is a
mean,
big
like,
question.
I'm gonna go on a brief tangent here. Um, there was a thing on TikTok for a while where the people were doing the "Don't Judge Me" challenge, where they'd specifically put on makeup to look ugly, and then they'd cover the screen, and then they'd take their hand off, and it's just the most beautiful looking person. It's like, what is the point of that?
I don't know what I've never heard of this till right now.
It's the "Don't Judge Me" challenge. It's exactly what this old lady was doing at the beginning of this movie. The ugly is a mask, man. They're choosing to look like that.
I feel like you're starting to And then again, this is the biggest problem I think we both found in this movie is that it is answering questions that don't need to be answered. And again, I think it's because it's being placed in a reality that now you're asking the audience to put logic into it.
I don't know how, but like it also feels like a good amount of it is just to like reach a 2 hour runtime for some reason.
It does. So wait, speaking of the runtime, what the fuck, Disney Plus? On Disney Plus, it lists Beauty and the Beast as having a 2 hour and 20-minute runtime. The
Well, yeah,
movie
because a
ends,
good
it's
amount
at
of
2 hours. Even the credits aren't 20 minutes long. It includes the weird, boring. Here's the dubs and the subtitles of the other languages in the runtime, which threw me off.
I mean, it even if it was like 20 minutes of just that, this took me at least 4 hours to get through.
I I can't. I found it flew by for me.
I literally needed to take a nap after Be Our Guest. It feels like every song they added like 7 extra verses. Even if that probably wasn't the case, it felt so
I
long.
I okay. So this is when we point out the importance of like the relationship between art and the audience is different for each person, because I'm swept up in this movie even though I don't love it. It does bother me that there are songs that they slowed down the tempo, or at least it feels like they slowed down the tempo, and I think that affects the pace of the movie. I think the opening number Bell is slowed down, Be Our Guest was slowed down, and that does hurt. And I found, I'm curious, what did any of the songs stick out to you?
The one song I liked actually was when Belle left the castle and Beast was like, "She'll always be in my mind."
Yeah, I do
Yeah, I
like
like that
Evermore.
one.
I feel like I should hate Evermore, but I do enjoy it. It feels like Alan Menken trying to do Les Mis to me, but works
Well,
very well.
I haven't seen Les Mis, so there you go.
And we can get into Evermore in a bit, because I have strong thoughts about why I think that song works. Um, I think the numbers, when you think of the original movie, right, the '91 movie, you think of Be Our Guest, Beauty and the Beast, and maybe Belle, right? I think that's safe to say.
Sure, yeah.
Belle loses a lot of it's not as snappy as the original one, and so I think that's why that's one of the reasons that song suffers. Um, we haven't brought up Emma Watson, who I think would be perfect to play Belle if she could sing.
I didn't think she was that bad.
I feel like I heard the auto tune or something. Um, and it's serviceable. Again, I love this movie way more than I should, even though I know it's not great. And so I don't think that helps the pacing, etc.
Listen,
Be Our Guest.
I just wanted to be said for the record that yes, there are movies that I know aren't great also, but I still enjoy. I know that the vibe you get from this podcast is that whenever a movie isn't like premium grade, I hate it. But no, it just so happens that the ones that we have to talk about are the ones that I just think are just trash.
Well, going into that, I think you react stronger when there's like a cavalcade. Is that the word I'm looking for? Just a bombardment of lights and flashiness and just empty noise on the screen. And Be Our Guest is right on that line.
I literally was falling asleep during that song.
And yet, the ending of Be Our Guest in this one does grab me, but a lot of it is that. And there's a lot of there's a weird
That's
like
why I paused it right after that song, because I was like, I can't keep my eyes open. I'm falling asleep.
there's like random singing in the rain and cabaret allusions in this one, and just we haven't gotten to the design of the characters, but I hate them,
Oh, I
and
hate
they
it. I
don't
hate it.
help. They don't help in the Be Our Guest. And then Beauty and the Beast, I think, is staged differently because of what you're capable of doing, and I don't think it's as effective. But I do think it is effective. And then my personal standout, other than I actually weirdly like Evermore, is I thought the Gaston song is rousing.
Again, I hated the addition they made of making it LeFou paying everyone off. Like, I hated that.
Was that what that was? I didn't realize. I don't think that's what it was.
That's why he was paying people to like get in on the song.
At the very end, though.
No,
Was it throughout?
that was
I
like
missed
when they
that.
started getting into it.
Okay, I
He
missed
was
that because
paying people to sing along.
that does change it. But I found that number reminded me of something you would see on Broadway. The energy of just a bunch of people in a room singing and dancing. I like the percussive sounds of them stomping and it building to that dance slash fight number. And Luke Evans and Josh Gad. I had problems with Josh Gad's character, but are charismatic and sell that song.
I mean, the Village people make no sense for me in this movie.
They aren't supposed to. They're a
but
blob.
like it makes sense why they're a monolith in the original story.
Yeah, they're sheep.
But the thing is, in this one, they try to humanize them.
How so? I think I agree with you, but how so?
Like,
are you talking about how they like weirdly connect so that like Mr. Potts is one of the villagers?
I mean, that's part of it, but also with like, okay,
her teaching the girl how to read.
Oh my god,
which was unnecessary.
The hashtag girl boss moment of the professor coming out. It's like, teaching a girl how to read isn't one enough. And then her being like, F you, we're doing it for the girl.
And they like throw her laundry out on.
Also, what was added by making her an inventor like that?
I think it's just a connection to her father. I think the original shows she's like intellectually in like a she thinks deeply about things, but you don't see her. I don't think Belle has a lot of I don't think the animated Belle takes charge and has a lot of action in the original one. She has enough that the movie works, but she doesn't have a lot. And so I found that having Belle as like this inventor who will like figure out stuff on the side and try to think her way out of problems, I think that adds to Belle.
But again, that doesn't really feel like it comes up once the actual story itself gets rolling.
I'd argue her tricking Maurice and pushing him out of the of the cell is partly that. You have her trying to climb out the tower. She tied all those sheets together and then she was going to climb out. There's a resourcefulness to her that I think I found helped add to Belle in this one.
Okay.
Well,
I'm going through my notes right now.
Let's talk about some of the names. Directed by Bill Condon. Bill Condon is a pretty notable name. Academy Award winner for writing Gods and Monsters. Also directed that. Wrote the screenplay for Chicago. Directed and wrote
I've heard
Kinsey,
that's good.
Dreamgirls. He directed Mr. Holmes. I forgot about that. And Puan, you'll like this. Director of Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2.
Still haven't seen those movies, so.
Screenplay by Evan Spilotopoulos. I'm not too familiar with him. He had writing or story credits on the 2014 Brett Ratner Hercules.
Screenplay of Ratner made Hercules? When was this?
The Rock. The Rock was in it.
Oh, that was recent, wasn't it?
Yeah. And wrote the screenplay of The Huntsman, Winter's War. He shares writing credits on this film with Steven Chbosky. Do you know Steven Chbosky?
No.
He wrote the screenplay for the Rent movie, okay, but also he wrote The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and then wrote and directed the movie. So he worked with Emma Watson earlier.
I like
I
that
think
one.
I think this movie takes swings. I don't know if it's worth it, but I appreciate that it's trying something. But I don't know if it fully commits. Which again is I think what I feel all the Disney live action movies are.
Also, going back to how they feel the need to fill in all the plot holes. Why do we the explanation for why the servants are also made into curses? It's terrible. It's
It's
terrible.
it's unnecessary, yes.
It's not just
I
unnecessary. Literally, the implication is that, like, yes, these people who were hired by this man because they didn't stand up to their boss and
abused
protect
their
this.
son.
Yeah,
But
they
is it not that
deserve to
they're
be stuck in this prison.
it's complacency, which is what the Lefou Act 3 turn is, kind of. They're acting in fear. They're so afraid that they're not fighting back. I'm not saying it works perfectly, but that's what they're saying.
I don't know. That just feels like too harsh of a punishment for that.
Oh, compared to, hey, let's turn you into a pot and a candelabra for no reason.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Like,
Wait, a reason is worse than no reason?
yes, because at least with no reason, you could come up with your own shit. Now that it's okay, the thing is, when you don't feel the need to explain all that, you could just let it go. But when you actually introduce that into the script, that's something you need to focus on now.
But again, I think it's them trying to put it in stakes and bring logic into it. You have this opportunity, you have all this money. They're going to ask why, and they want to come to a conclusion.
See,
I'm
that's the
not saying
thing.
they should. I'm not saying they should. I'm
No,
just saying that's
I'm
what's
saying
happening here.
this is this sort of mentality. Like, why can't movies just be like mystical like that? Why you got to introduce logic to everything?
But aren't artists supposed to explore? And so they're exploring the mindset, the mentality, how they get there. Again, not saying it's successful.
I mean,
I'm not saying it's bad that they're doing it though.
Explore would imply that they did more than just put one line in that made things significantly worse.
I'm not saying they did it well. But I think I'd rather they try something. All right. Here's my question to you, because I don't know what my preference is. Would you rather these live action remakes be one-to-one remakes of what was originally there, or would you rather they be something different?
See, that's what the implication that I need to have these.
But it's gonna be there.
In that case, I'd prefer like a radical change instead of just like adding small things here and there. Like, I haven't seen it, but I'd assume I'd prefer something like Maleficent over any of these.
So did you prefer Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah.
Really?
I preferred Alice in Wonderland over this.
Huh. Nice. That's interesting. I was not ready for that. Because I don't know what I want from these movies. Because as much as I don't want the one by one remake, I enjoy hearing Emma Thompson sing Beauty and the Beast while they're dancing in the ballroom. I enjoy the Gaston number as much
my
as I
thing
don't
is
want
like,
to.
you can just go back and watch the original if you want to
Yeah.
watch the original.
And I would. I'd
So
rather
why
watch
spend
those.
all this money to just recreate it?
The spectacle.
But the spectacle's already there.
Why is Beauty and the Beast? Why was it on Broadway for like 8 years?
I mean, that's okay. That's a little bit more fair because it is a completely different medium, completely different interaction with the audience.
Yeah, there's a different feel. First off, you wouldn't have the song Evermore if there's no live action. Is that worth it?
I'm
Is
fine
that
with
worth
that.
it? There,
I
but
wouldn't
there
have had to
is.
watch this movie.
I think when we look at all the movies we've discussed, right, there is a desire for escapism, for something different, something that you've
Yo,
never.
I wanted to escape from this escapism. All right.
The audience wants something that they've never seen, but also something comforting. And so when you see these images that you've seen for 2 decades now or whatever, but live action, they feel more tangible or could feel more tangible. I'm not saying they do. I'll take that back. They could feel more tangible. And there's a little more of a disbelief that they were able to pull this off by translating it to live action. As much as I prefer the original Beauty and the Beast, both the movie and the scene with the title song,
Mhm.
there was a second when they reveal Emma Watson and the CGI Beast in their costumes where I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. Because it is a fantasy, it feels so far fetched, and by making it live action, it feels a little closer.
I don't know about that.
Why else would these movies work?
I mean, I don't know if they do for me at all.
But they do though. Personal feelings aside, you see what ends up working and doesn't work.
Maybe. I mean, listen, I like a good day of dress up as much as the next person. All right. I enjoy people getting ready and like putting on their nails and putting on the fancy dress and doing the twirly twirls. It's nice. I
Yeah.
like it. But I don't need to see 2 hours for that one moment.
And I don't need to see 2 hours of these blue aliens running around trying to tell me to save my planet. But I appreciate the artistry in it. And I understand that people enjoy it. And did you see there was a tweet from like the Avatar Twitter account that released like new release dates for all the movies or something?
Wait, really?
Avatar 2 is now supposed to come out in 2022.
Hell yeah. I'm excited.
13 years after the original. But there's a magic in seeing what you don't think possible happen on the big screen. This movie uh, is weirdly notable for me personally. This specific one, I remember watching it. I rented it a couple months after it came out, and I'm watching that opening number. We
Mhm.
established opening number, not great. But I'm looking at this town. I'm like, how the fuck did they make this poor provincial town in real life? That boggles my mind. Is it all sets? Did they build houses? Did they find another town?
That
How do they
doesn't
do that?
seem like that would be that out there.
But for some reason, it boggled my mind. And then you think about like
Because
they
there are
always.
places in the world that still kind of look like that, Miss Simpson.
Yeah.
Like there are historic areas that you could visit as like a museum
But
that
then
look like that.
they always CG like the forest and stuff in the back. So how do they blend that?
I,
My dumb
I
mind goes,
just didn't think it was
whoa.
that spectacular.
Oh, this was also 4 years ago. I've evolved as a person and an intellectual since then. But yeah, there's a magic in seeing the sausage and not how it gets made. Did that make sense? Can I use that analogy in that way?
I guess.
And this is all just to shout out. The film did receive 2 Oscar nominations. Let me just make sure I get their names who received them correctly, because I think it's hard to argue against these two. It's not like it was acting nominations. Best production design, Sarah Greenwood and Katie Spencer, and in costume design, Jacqueline Duran. and like they're gorgeous costumes and beautiful sets, and you can't be too mad at that, right?
One nitpick that I have.
Mm.
There's that scene where everyone's like, "Where's Chip? Where's Chip?" And then it cuts to Chip falling. What is he falling from?
I don't know why he was up there.
Where is up there? Because there's the
He was on
angle.
like the
There's
ledge.
no there. It was so far up, and like the
So
arc of where he was not on that ledge.
I
He
feel like
was
he was
not
on
on
like
that
an
ledge.
awning.
No,
No, you're right. You're right. But I feel like it's supposed to be that he's on like on an awning or something. I also
he literally just like fell out of the sky. That's what happened in that moment.
I didn't like the fact that they showed them all transforming into their inanimate versions. I thought that was unnecessary and felt forced, trying to force some emotion from the audience. But when Chip jumps and then the plate smashes the ground, I was like, oh my god, is the plate alive? There's I have so
Okay,
many questions on
that's
what is
another
alive
thing.
and what's not alive.
That's another thing that pisses me off when they lampshade shit like that.
Yes.
With like that joke where it's like, that's a hairbrush. That how stupid of you to think that that would also be alive.
But again, that's I think that's them putting them in the reality. If you learned objects around you could talk, wouldn't you start to question which ones can and can't?
Yes,
It's
but
unnecessary.
I wouldn't make a joke out of it if I'm showing that.
I laughed at
Again,
that.
that's a lampshade, and I hate lampshades like that.
I laughed at that. Oh, I was gonna bring up something. Oh, what I was questioning is
Again, like honestly, most of the like comedic jokes in this made me groan or angry.
I have one question for you. One important moment. Can you tell how important it is by my laughing?
Okay, which one?
So there's the song Something There where they're like, oh, I'm in love and we're in the snow, right? And Belle throws a snowball and it hits
Oh my
Beast.
god,
And
like
then Beast grabs this
yo,
gigantic snowball, smacks her, and her head smacks into the concrete.
I know, right? And like this is the part where they're supposed to be falling in love, and you want me to like the Beast in this movie? What the
I found
fuck?
that might be my favorite moment in the movie. It's hysterical.
Like,
But again, I understand your confusion at this. It brings the question of how grounded is this movie? That's a more cartoony, over the top moment that feels like it would fit in the original, and yet as we're live action, there's a plague. A plague had happened in this universe. Shakespeare exists. How does that work?
like
She
again,
should be
it's
dead.
sometimes it's fine to just be like fanciful like that, but that's not what this movie wants to be.
I know. It's at it's an identity problem that all the live action movies have. But I don't know why that makes me laugh every time. I think of that moment outside of this movie just because of the sound effect of her head hitting the concrete with a thud.
While I was watching this movie, the only thing I could think of was like the Lindsay Ellis video about it.
I gotta watch that after because that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be so
She
fun.
hated this movie
Of
too.
course. Shout out to Lindsay Ellis.
Yeah.
Wait, am I thinking? I'm thinking of someone else. No, I'm thinking of someone else. I take that back. I don't know who Lindsay Ellis is. I thought you said you were talking about Jenny Nicholson for a sec.
They're
That's Jenny
buddies.
Nicholson. I'm curious. What did you think of the cast in this movie?
What about them?
Just if you have thoughts.
I couldn't get past. I didn't have time to think about how they were in the performances because of what they were asked to do.
So I've discovered in these past few weeks that if a character isn't that deep, and I love the actor anyway, I'll forgive the actor in the role a lot of the time. So like, yeah, Emma Watson's probably, there are things I'm like, It feels like your lines are separated, like they're from different takes, and like the thought of the scene isn't going forward in your lines. But I think she's great. I enjoy her in this. I thought Dan Stevens was fun. Dan Stevens, did you ever watch Eurovision?
No, but I saw Legion. He was really good in that.
Sounds like he's good. He's really fun in Eurovision. Very different role. Um, Luke Evans is charismatic and really fun, and I like that Gaston isn't a dumbass in this one. What, you didn't like Luke
Again, that
Evans?
just goes against like okay, in the original the characters were metaphors more so than actual people. So by actually
Sure.
fleshing them out, you go further away from that messaging and
I
it
I'd
just makes me
argue
consider why.
I argue he's much more of a product of toxic masculinity. He was in the war and he gets off on all the terror that happened in the war
But that's
and being
also played
intolerant.
as a joke.
Yes, it's dark. And so it defines the character more. And I think that's why he is so power hungry. And yet he's charming enough that he's able to charm the village that they follow him, and he is able to rile up their fear. I'm sure I prefer the original one, but I like Luke Evans in this one as well.
I I did not enjoy this movie. I can't, I don't know what else to say.
Kevin Kline, I like. He's very different from the animated version. The animated, he is a cartoon dad, a wacky, over the top, and
Okay, you know what? I actually did like the dad. I liked him.
Are you familiar with Kevin Kline?
That name is familiar.
That's how I felt till last year. And then I finally watched A Fish Called Wanda and In and Out. And I'm like, fuck, this guy is one of the best actors we have.
Wait, Kevin Kline, was he in that movie? I'm gonna.
Which movie?
I'll let you know if it's true. Yes, Wild Wild West.
Of course.
That was one of my childhood movies. So yeah, I know Kevin Kline. Okay.
And then Emma Watson, as we know, friend of the podcast, appearing in Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2. This film, Beauty and the Beast, also the supporting cast is filled with other friends of the podcast, if you will. Whether it is the voice talents of Emma Thompson, who I believe is also in the final Harry Potter, Stanley Tucci, we previously saw him in a Transformer. Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi's back.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And I was gonna say they all do fine. The other voices are Audra McDonald, who's Broadway royalty, Gugu Mbatha Raw, who I'm waiting for her big break. I feel like she's someone we always see, but we haven't gotten that big project from her yet. I don't know if I like Ewan McGregor's accent in this movie.
Who was he?
He's Lumiere.
Oh.
Like, I don't know if that's a French accent.
Again, I just it really the way the Cogsworth and Lumiere were in this movie,
I hate it.
I miss the charm of the original dynamic.
What do you think is different about the dynamic in this one? Other than I don't think you get as much of it.
I don't know. There was I don't know.
You know what is the biggest problem with making these animated versions realistic, quote unquote, right?
Less facial expressions.
Yes. Have you seen people like deep faked the Lion King trailer for the live action, the quote unquote live action one, to have more expressive eyes?
I have not.
It looks cooler because now you can see what they're saying and they're talking and it's
Ooh, you know what's a fun thing we could do for that episode?
Oh, make a note of it and then we'll talk about it.
No, but like
okay, go.
Just for how I'm gonna watch. I might watch the Hindi dub.
But what if we want to talk about Beyonce?
Shah Rukh Khan. Okay, that's all you need to know.
Childish Gambino.
Shah Rukh Khan.
I don't know who that is.
Because you don't know Bollywood.
Send me some links and I'll research. I'll do some research before. What if you just watch both the American and the Hindu versions?
You really want me to sit through that movie twice?
That's the only live action movie we have left to talk about. I haven't watched. I did want to bring up something. Oh yeah, so yeah, the lack of I can never tell where Lumiere's face is in this movie or Cogsworth.
Yeah.
And so you don't get as much. There's so much life to them in that animated movie. And so I think that's part of why feels like there's less of a relationship between the two of them. That's part of why I think the Beauty and the Beast number doesn't work as well. The original Beauty and the Beast number is one of my favorite movie moments of all time. I think it is so sweeping and the way the camera moves in it, and yet it's so still in this version. But I think in this version, because you can't have the camera so close to them dancing and they want to show them off actually dancing, it's so far removed that it's as if you're a fly on the wall, as if you're Lumiere or Cogsworth. And yet you don't get these awesome moments of the Beast looking over to them and them giving him the thumbs up, which I think adds to Beast's arc in the 91 version. And
In
so
this
that is
movie
supplemented
also,
in this one as Evermore.
they also very much feel like they're not, they don't really interact in this one with the Beast.
No. They don't have as many one-on-one interactions. There are a couple of like everyone with the Beast, but those are very short as well. So it's not as full of a scene. Also, really creeped out, disturbed. I think that's what I'm looking for. Disturbed at how Stanley Tucci fights people with his keys, which turn out to be his teeth. Did he lose teeth before the fight or after the fight? Also, it's just demented that he's pulling out his teeth and throwing them at people in the fight.
I mean, like, this goes back to how they were making things more realistic. But like while it was happening, I was thinking, like, wait, Chip has like
a chip,
the cut.
So what does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's not like they ever lift up his bangs or his hair so you can see what's under his.
You know what? I'm gonna make a note of that for later.
I did. There's one moment in the animated movie, I'm like, or Mrs. Potts is like, Chip, go to bed with your brothers and sisters, and there's a bunch of other cups in the cupboards. So I'm like, wait, does Mrs. Potts have one favorite child? Because all the other
which
cups
parent
have
doesn't?
faces. That's fair. You know what bothered me in the fight? I don't think I brought this up yet. Cogsworth is like, okay, we have the second army coming, go. And then a bunch of books come on and jump and hit the people. So the books were alive? Was Bell manhandling the books? What is the logic behind that?
No, I don't think the books were alive. I think what it was like there was bookshelves off screen that was tossing the books.
No, the books hop up onto the ledge.
No.
I'm pretty sure it's the ledge that Chip somehow jumped off of. No, it's not. It's not. I do want to shout out Emma Thompson, who, you know, Angela Lansbury's iconic performance in Beauty and the Beast is quite a thing to be compared to, and I think Thompson does a solid job. Mm-hmm. And then Josh Gad as Lefou is a role in this movie.
What's your problem with it?
It feels like it's a joke. The fact that they force the weird do we call it a gay moment at the end? What do we even call that?
Okay, so I've heard mention of this, and like everyone keeps talking about it as a blink and you miss it moment. Well, I did blink.
See? And so it feels like a token moment, first off.
I did not see that moment. I did not see that moment.
I take Lefou in the animated version to be just like a fanboy. You know, people are like that with like Luke Skywalker or whatever character you want to insert there, right? And so when you add the layer of the fact that you're implying that LeFou's gay and every interaction he has with Gaston is a joke, it feels like you're supposed to laugh at the fact that LeFou may or may not have a crush on Gaston.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't help. So you blinked and you missed it. The
Yeah.
moment is that he's dancing with the woman, and then there's a moment where like they switch partners, and then another dude comes and dances with LeFou for like 2 seconds. That's the moment. The dude he dances with. Do you remember the moment when the wardrobe like attacks three guys and then dresses them up in clothing?
It's that dude.
It's that dude.
Oh my god.
Which the moment itself is played off as a laugh, which is problematic. And then the fact that they bring them back at the end is it doesn't mesh well. I didn't know that until this one.
Disney and Pixar really love their gay jokes.
They do. They do. Because society also loved them up until a certain point. And sadly, probably a majority of society still does. But other than the biggest problem of the, well, arguably the biggest problem of the movie, I think Josh Gad is a delight, and it was always fun as playing the oaf. And I do like that LeFou has a little bit more of a conscience in this one, and that he's starting to question Gaston, whether Gaston is the real villain, but is still too scared to really commit up until he fights with Mrs. Potts. So, sad. Sad. What else do we have? What else do we have?
Oh. So during that ending, when Dan Stevens is Dan Stevens,
is this yes?
and they're dancing, and Belle says, "How would you feel about growing a beard?"
How does he respond?
I don't think he says anything. But the thing is, are we just like saying that Belle's a furry? Is that what's happening?
I think so. And do you not remember what he does after?
No.
He gives her like a snarl, like
See, I saw that in like the like subtitles, but the way that all the sound was played, it just felt like a sound that was thrown in from like some other conversation.
But it's him. He snarls at her after. This isn't my fix, but I think there's an epilogue where like after a while, Belle's like, I liked you better as the beast. Goodbye. And she leaves. So there is that. I'm trying to think if I have anything else I want to add. I think I hit most of my points. I did like the credits have the portraits, like each actor has a portrait and then their name, and it felt reminiscent of a Broadway bow. So I enjoyed that. However, oh, you have an idea?
Go ahead.
However, the original movie, when they do the cast list, it'll be like Belle at the top, and then it's I think it's Paige O'Hara who's the actress, and then it lists the animators. And I think that we should keep that for the CGI characters. They won't, because they want to build up the Hollywood stars as the stars do it all. But I think when you have a character like Lumiere or Cogsworth or the Beast, or even when we get to other movies like the Na'vi in Avatar or whatever, I think the animators deserve as much credit as the actor.
Well, that's the thing of where do you put who and what in the credits?
Sure.
Like, do you start the credits with the animators then?
That's a good point.
Because it's not like this person animated this character specifically.
I in the Beauty and the Beast, it was like lead animator of Belle, supporting animator of Belle, and then for Beast they had. That's why I brought that up specifically. But that is a great point that like there are people who kind of hop around and do stuff. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't know.
Another moment that was a joke that I hated so much, so much, was
It's gonna be a
when
joke I enjoyed, isn't it?
the woman comes up and hugs, I think it was Cogsworth,
Oh no, I did not enjoy that one.
and he says, "Turn back into a clock. Please turn back into a clock."
He didn't need a wife.
But like, even if he had a wife, just-
What? Why?
what was the point of that?
I don't know. I do not know. I do like oh, what's the name of the duster, the swan duster? I don't know her name.
I
The
know who you're
Guma
talking
Bathara.
about. I
Plumet.
don't remember.
Plumet.
Yeah.
I don't think she's even named in the 91 one. I like that she gets some more lines, and I she has some fun with Lumiere. Other than it's a little just flirty service level in the original, and so there is a bond between the two of them in this one. I like not enough to be like this is important, but it's a nice little thing. Also, I like that there's a dog because there's no dog in the original, just the
Okay.
footrest.
This goes back to the whole point. What did the dog do to deserve this?
I don't know. I do not know.
And but then like what? Why? Why?
But why would it? You're
Why would you
right.
have that
You're right.
explanation then?
You're right. It's the problem. Hey, the dog could have bit the dad.
And then he would have been put down. At some point, you do have to worry about your own like uh ability to exist.
No,
Because
it's
like
fair.
even the servants, what would have happened if they lost that job? Maybe that was their only like way to stay afloat.
That's fair.
So they it's not really a fair punishment to be like, "Oh, you were too worried about, being able to exist that you didn't worry about this your boss who was abusing their kid."
I cannot wait till we get to Aladdin. You're gonna hate it.
Oh.
I have a feeling you're gonna hate it because, as we've said multiple times, is it supposed to be realistic? Is it supposed to be cartoony? How much of it can you just yada yada? I don't know. Everyone has a different level that they can take. Turns out I can take a lot more.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
I feel like I had something else, but I think I'm pretty sure I'm good.
Just
Not mentioned earlier, but Alan Menken did the music of this movie. Him and Howard Ashman did the iconic movie music way back when. Ashman has died since, and Menken did the original songs there out of here. I don't know if he had help, but Menken seems to be the credited person.
mhm.
So yeah, that was ooh, the cinematographer Tobias A. Schleisler also did Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. You want a good movie that isn't 2 hours long?
Isn't it?
Ma Rainey's only 90 minutes.
Huh.
Isn't that miraculous?
Yeah.
So that was our conversation on Bill Condon's 2017 live action remake, Beauty and the Beast. Obviously, we both have feelings about this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and we feel that maybe there are avenues it could have taken to be improved, to become better.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do you want to start, Pawan, or am I going to start this week?
I could start.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So Gaston had a catchphrase this movie.
Mm-hmm. Did he?
He said it's hero time on multiple occasions when he is about to spring into action. You know who else says it's hero time?
Who?
Ben 10. So you know what? Let's just slap some more tissue on explanations to be like, you know what? He's from the future, but like he was brought back into the past and the war made him this terrible person. And yes, this is the Ben 10 from the Cartoon Network show, but now he's a villain.
So all right. So Ben 10 is now in Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, Ben 10 is Gaston.
Cool. Does he still have the watch?
See, that's some future technology, and like the anachronistic nature of it made it explode upon arrival.
Which Ben 10 are you doing? Is it the original like 10-year-old Ben 10 or is it like Alien Force where he's like 16?
No, he came here when he was 10. He grew up in the war.
Whoa. Okay. Go on.
Yeah. Okay. So also, you know what? Chip. Let's figure out what's the deal with Chip.
Mm.
Maybe what happened was that we get a flashback scene instead of just the line of like we did nothing. There's like a scene where the dad is like yelling at the kid or something, and then Chip runs into the room, is like, "Don't do that," and he gets smacked by the boss, and that's how he gets the chip.
Oh no. Can I ask you a question
Yeah.
in regards to Chip? Why was Chip in the castle as a child?
Also, how many years has it been?
Yes. And if her family's with her in the castle, maybe the beast is nice, right? Why wasn't her husband with them as well? All right, go
Didn't
on.
they have other kids too?
And
That's
they made just one in this one.
so that's also there.
Hmm.
We'll since we're going that route, let's just go full force. Let's just go full force.
Full alien force?
And then maybe the dog's just like in the room during that, just looking and barking like, yeah. So like he's also culpable, and that's why he's an Ottoman.
Man. Dog. It's always the dog.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's also get a scene at the end of the movie where like Belle takes like a wing of the building and just starts teaching children how to read. And then that old professor shows up and he's like, "What? What? There's more women learning to read? Oh no!"
Wait, so she's doing this in the castle?
Yes.
So it is after everything's done, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And then like she invites the professor to show up to sit on a class, and he shows up is like, "Are these all women?" And then he has a conniption in the back of the room.
Is this the end credit scene?
Yes.
Cool.
Those are my fixes.
Okay. Great fixes. Incredible fixes. I just hope my fixes are as great as yours. Because that Ben 10 edition, you know, this film, Beauty and the Beast, right? 2017.
Yes.
Currently stands at 71% on Rotten Tomatoes.
How do we get that remaining 29%?
Well, I think you look at the previous, before this was Pete's Dragon, which I think sits at like an 80 something percent. If we look at the Disney live action stuff. Before that, The Jungle Book sits at 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's a huge jump. And so mine goes Christian. You saw The Jungle Book once 5 years ago. What did that do that Beauty and the Beast did not? All right. Juan, do you know what it did?
What did it do?
Very obvious. So,
talking animals.
What? The Beast. The Beast. All right. What's going to happen is there's a chef.
Whoa, wait. Okay, now we're going to get into this discussion. Are beasts animals?
Are humans not animals? Is Belle not an animal herself?
I mean, she desperately wants to be one. She is a furry after all.
Whoa, I just had a new idea, but going on. So, there's a chef in the kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
The chef like is the oven and he does the cooking.
Wait, what? That was in this movie?
He has lines in the animated. I don't know if he has a line in this one.
Cool. I don't remember them ever being in the kitchen in this one.
It's like right before Be Our Guest.
Okay, so where I was falling asleep.
Yes. The chef in this one, we gotta bring back the secret weapon from the Jungle Book. Yes, Christopher Walken is back. And you ask Christian, wait, what did Christopher Walken do in the Jungle Book? He did what he's gonna do in this one. He's gonna sing "Be Like You" from the Jungle Book in Beauty and the Beast.
Cool.
Because Christopher Walken makes everything better. All right. Now we get to the end, right? Belle's like, "I love you," which is weird because she loved him before she said she had to say it. I guess you need confirmation that she loves him anyway. She says, "I love you," and then you see the spell reversing. All the candelabras and cups and everyone, they turn back to humans. All right. And then you cut to Belle and the beast right there, right? And Beast's body is lifted up by magic, as magic does, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And he spins slow. What? Why is the spinning slowing down? Beast is brought back to life, but laid back on the ground. And then Belle is lifted up in the air. Belle spins. Yes, I'm pulling a Shrek. Belle turns into a beast herself. And now there are two beasts in love. And the rest of the movie plays out as it does, same. And then we get to them dancing. They're dancing. Now, Pawan, we briefly brought up the plague and how it felt unnecessary. However, I think it was needed to show that they are the same and that they both have dead mothers they love dearly. Now, they're dancing.
And the
Belle
ghosts,
goes.
of the mothers are there clapping along approvingly. And then they look at them as like, yeah.
They dance. They stop dancing. Belle goes up to Maurice comes up to Belle and the Beast, right? Both beasts now. Yes. And Belle goes, "I wish Mother could have, Mama." I think she says Mama.
Maman.
I think Maman. I wish Maman could have been here. And Maurice goes, "Why, yes, I wish Martha was here." And the Beast goes,
Wait, Martha. Why'd you say that name?
And then Maurice is like, "Yes, I said yes, Martha. That's Belle's mother." Beast goes, "Wait, my mom's name was Martha." And then Maurice starts having realizations. The Beast is Maurice and Martha's son. But the spell made them forget about him. Maurice was the king that's abusive to the son. Belle and the Beast, siblings as well.
Wait, so what's the age gap here? And how problematic is it?
The age gap of
Belle and the Beast in this situation.
So the thing is, my understanding of the spell is that they're locked into whatever they are. So although everyone outside of the castle ages, they're stuck. And in
I don't know, that's kind of problematic.
The original movie says he's 21 when the spell ends. So he's at top 21. Belle, I don't know how old Belle is. Belle 18 maybe? 19? Honestly, she's probably like 15 with how Disney does movies. Let's be honest. But so yes. So now we have three problems. The furry angle. Actually, I don't want to besmirch furries, but the furry angle, the incest angle, and the age angle. Maybe someone has to pull out a Romeo and Juliet clause. And that is how this movie ends.
I just got another fix that I can't thought of.
Go on.
So we were talking about how this new version of the Beauty and the Beast song moment, it doesn't live up to the original.
It does not.
But you know what could raise it to new heights?
Is it what I'm thinking?
We get a scene. We get a shot from above the chandelier.
Is it what I'm thinking?
We see a POV thing of something scurrying across. And then halfway through the song, the chandelier falls to the ground.
Yes.
And they both look and they see this blue monstrosity with 6 arms.
Yes.
Stitch has invaded their space.
Experiment 626?
Yes.
Question. Stitch, obviously one of the greatest characters ever made. How is he animated? Is it the original version and it's kind of a Mary Poppins in that the 2D animation is with the live action? Or is it a tease of their live action remake that's in the works and it's a 3D?
It's a tease. It's a tease.
So it is a 3D animated Stitch.
Yes.
Pawn, we're not Hollywood executives, but I gotta ask you, who's playing Stitch?
Ooh, who's playing Stitch? You know what? Let's get Jason Statham.
Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Jason Statham there. He's playing Stitch.
Yeah. The bloke.
Wowza. Jason Statham, who I believe will appear next week on the $1 Billion Podcast. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if he's in that one.
Wait. He was in 7.
Is he? I don't know. Is he in 8 though?
Yeah, he was in 7.
But I've never seen 8. Does he reappear in Fate of the Furious?
I mean, he's in Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Does The Rock reappear in Fate of the Furious?
I'm pretty sure.
So why can't Jason Statham?
Yeah, he's that's what I'm saying. He's probably there.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you're teasing not only the live action Lilo and Stitch starring Jason Statham, but also in a cross promotion, you're teasing the next week's episode of the $1 Billion Movie Club about Fate of Furious.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm just that good.
It comes to, sometimes you see the incredible marketing for Avatars 2 through 5, and it inspires a marketing plan inside your mind.
So look forward to that next episode of $1 Billion Movie Club in 2022.
I think we did a great job.
Yeah.
Bill Condon, he has an Oscar, but it's for writing. He should come to us for his directing advice. Now, those were our opinions. But Pawn, would it surprise you to be reminded that no film is perfect?
We just talked about that.
We did? I forgot again. Crazy how that just doesn't stick in my mind. If you have any ideas on how to make that idea stick in my mind, please send it to our email. Pawn, what is that email?
BZDG Fifi Fofu at Gmail.
And can you spell that out just so people don't misspell it?
BEEDZG Fifi Fufu at Gmail.
Oh, I love my favorite letters, Fifi and Fufu. I was so tired of W being the only letter with multiple syllables in its name. One, it's time to rank Beauty and the Beast on the $1 Billion Movie Club ranking. Am I looking for the Google Chrome link? Yes, it's right here.
All right.
I'm going to hit, where's the option to share the screen? I'm hitting it here.
And 3, 2, 1. Bada booms.
All right, Pawan, as we do every week, I think this will have a larger difference than arguably any other week so far. Heads or tails?
I'm gonna go with heads.
We're flipping the coin. Is it Beauty or the Beast? It lands on heads. Oh no. All right, Pawan. Last week's episode was Rogue One, a Star Wars story at number 7. Holy
See, the thing is, now I gotta consider the long game.
Do you like this better or worse than Rogue One, a Star Wars story?
See, now I gotta consider the long game because I don't want Star Wars Episode 9 to be in a position where it's better than Episode 1. And there's only like 4 or 5 slots underneath that.
It's a science.
So we'll see what happens.
Do you like it better or worse than Rogue One, a Star Wars story?
See, now I'm considering, is the Darth Vader moment in that movie worse than anything in this one, and worse than all the moments in this one?
It's a science. What does science say? I'm gonna give you a second to do the beep boops in your mind to calculate the trajectory.
I'm gonna say it's worse than Rogue One.
Wow. Did you like this better or worse than Zootopia?
I mean, this didn't have ACAB elements. This didn't bolster up police. So, but you know what? There was a lot less inventiveness. I'm gonna say it's worse.
Better or worse than Star Wars: The Force Awakens?
It's funny because that movie is known for like being too nostalgic and not coming up with too many new ideas. But you know what's worse? than that movie at doing that. Beauty and
What?
the Beast. I'm gonna go with worse.
Better or worse than Titanic?
Well, Titanic's great, but it's 3.5 hours long. But you
It
know
is.
what? They packed those 3.5 hours with a lot of nice shit.
They
So I'm
do.
gonna go with worse.
Better or worse than Jurassic World?
Now that's a tough one because I was not a fan of Jurassic World. But you know what? I didn't see a like genetically modified amphibious dinosaur chow down on a secretary who was not good at her job. I'm going with worse.
You really hate this movie. Do you like it better or worse than The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey?
That's a hard one. That's a really hard one. Because if I judge The Hobbit off of the first like 20 minutes, I would argue that it deserves to be all the way at the top.
The first 20 minutes?
Like I really love the beginning of
Does
The
it
Hobbit.
start off with like is it Bilbo who's no Bilbo's Elijah Wood, right? Who's the main
No.
character of The Hobbit?
Yeah, Bilbo.
Isn't there like 20 minutes of him in Lord of the Rings days getting ready to write the book?
No, there's only like 2 minutes of that, and then it's
Okay.
the Hobbits coming into his house and having the dinner.
So do you like this better or worse than The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey?
You know, now I'm actually reconsidering, do I like this better than Jurassic World? Let's say I did like this better than Jurassic World. Yeah,
Whoa. I wasn't
because
expecting that.
you know what? This movie wasn't as sexist.
So at number 20, Beauty and the Beast. Nope, Beauty Beast. And the Beast. But 2017. That's not how numbers work. 2017. So you know which one we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm shocked it landed at 20. I'm fine with it at 20.
Again, I also got to save some space at the bottom.
Yeah, there's some crap we're gonna get to. All right, Pawan.
Because like if I was gonna have to say it's worse than The Hobbit, I'm gonna have to say it's worse than Captain America Civil War, and like there's not much space left if we do that.
There isn't. All right, Pawan. Let's
Number
recap.
47, we got Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides.
46, Alice in Wonderland.
You know what? Watching this movie, I'm not as happy with that placement. 45, Toy Story 3.
I'll agree with you. I'd prefer if Alice was higher than some of the other crap above it, but this is science, Pawan. We can't argue with science. 44, Avatar. Is that where we're at?
Yep. I think so. 41, Transformers Dark of the Moon.
40, Avengers Age of Ultron.
38, Transformers Age of Extinction.
37, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest.
35, Captain America Civil War.
34, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
33, The Dark Knight Rises.
32, The Dark Knight.
31, Marvel's The Avengers.
30, Minions.
28, The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey.
27, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
26, Jurassic Park.
25, Iron Man 3.
24, Frozen.
22, Jurassic World.
Tied at 21, we got Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Us, and Finding Dory.
20, Beauty and the Beast.
19, Titanic.
Were you in the water freezing from the near death?
I just had flashbacks.
Oh, of when there was so much hope for the movies to come because it started off so strong.
No, we were really confident by being like, you know what? There's going to be a whole 18 movies better than Titanic.
Well, you know what's better than Titanic? Number 13, Star Wars The Force Awakens.
11, Zootopia.
7, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story.
Number 3, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
Number 2, Furious 7.
Number 1, Skyfall. We really thought there was going to be a whole 18 movies better than Titanic on this list.
We really did. We really did. And you know what? There will be, whether we like it or not.
I mean, yeah, it's facts.
There will be. Well, that was this week's heated episode of the $1 Billion Movie Club.
Join us next week where hopefully it'll be a lot more lukewarm because positivity is good.
We're going to be discussing a film, the sequel to the second greatest film to ever make $1 billion, the sequel to Furious 7, The Fate of the Furious.
Sadly, we already know it's not going to be better than Furious 7.
Which is a shame, but how can you compete when it's the second best of all time?
I know.
What can you do?
Hopefully it could be number 4. Because we already have a 3. Maybe it'll be like a Dark Knight Rises situation.
But what if it's like 47? Wait, what numbers are there left? 41. What if it's number 41? We don't know.
We don't. I guess you're gonna have to check in next week to find out.
Tune in. You're not watching Avatar 2 anytime soon.
Exactly 1 week from when this podcast episode goes up. Hopefully. That one will go up. No.
Hopefully.
You have Masinsen's word for this. His word that next week's episode will go up exactly 1 week after this one does, if not earlier.
Shout outs as usual to Max Lismacchio for the art.
You know, one of these days, Max, you're going to hear these shout outs and you're going to be like, damn, thanks.
Do you think... I'd like to think we've given Max 93 new Instagram followers.
That's a high number.
Oh, well, we also thought there'd be 18 movies better than Titanic. Well, that was this week's episode of the $1 Billion Movie Club. Remember to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Like and subscribe on the YouTubes. Leave a comment. Or send an email. Puan, what is that email address one more time?
billions@showtime .podcast.
Wait, I'm sorry. I thought that was the email for the Billion Movie Club.
No. Oh, right. Yeah. That's the podcast for the Billions Movie Club. Silly me.
You know, you're just such an in-demand host. You host all these shows and you mix them up. I don't blame you. I do not blame you.
Sorry. This one was a $billions movie club at showtime.podcast.
And with that, thank you. And remember, this was a tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. The $1 Billion Movie Club. Tale as old as time.
It's hero time. I don't like the heartache and the pining and the